Hello, Faith United Youth and anyone else who is joining in this evening. I am coming to you from a new spot. I'm in my living room actually, which means that I have sufficiently bribed the children to be in the rooms by themselves, and James is working downstairs, so it's a weird, quiet moment in my house. And so I just wanted to take a couple minutes to share with you some of my thoughts about some things I've been reading lately and things I've been thinking about lately. So I've got my Bible here, and I have been thinking about Paul. Paul was one of the first apostles. We discussed him a couple weeks ago. Maybe it was this week. I don't know. All the weeks are blurring together at this point. But Paul wrote the book of Philippians to the church in Philippi. And one interesting thing is that he wrote the book of Philippians from prison, actually. And the book of Philippians is known for being very encouraging. Paul speaks about rejoicing quite a bit, which I think is really interesting, being written from prison. Many of you may feel like you're in prison right now. I know that I share a townhouse with my family. There are 6 of us in our family total. We don't all reside here at the same time. We're a blended family, and so sometimes we have 4 of us, sometimes we have 6 of us, and it's a small place, and it feels like a prison sometimes. Maybe you can kind of feel the same way about your scenario. But I was really encouraged when I was reading in Philippians. And one of the things that I think is really, really encouraging is listen to what Paul says. So he says in Philippians 1, verse 12, he says, "Now I want you to know, brothers and sisters, that what has happened to me has actually served to advance the gospel. As a result, it has become clear throughout the whole palace guard and to everyone else that I am in chains for Christ. And because of my chains, most of the brothers and sisters have become confident in the Lord and dare all the more to proclaim the gospel without fear." Okay, so Paul is taking a moment and he is actually pointing out and saying, listen, I'm in prison, and this is actually a good thing. This is actually helping to advance the gospel, which is the good news of Jesus. It's helping to share with others, and others are looking at my situation and they're becoming bolder and they are sharing more and more, and actually this is advancing our cause, which is really, really amazing. I mean, can you imagine being in prison and being like, hey, this is actually a good thing because this is happening? Let's move on to what Paul is actually wanting the Philippian people, the church of Philippi, to focus on. Okay, so he goes through, and then some of his final thoughts for the church. This is what he says. This is what he wants them to do. Okay, remember he's coming from prison. He says, "Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice." Rejoice. Can you imagine? I don't know if you're like me. I don't really feel like I'm in a great spot to be rejoicing all the time. I mean, this can be hard. It's really hard at times, kind of staying inside and not going out, and the fact that it's a very serious situation, and yet Paul is in a very serious situation, and he is literally in prison, not sure if he's going to be able to live or die at this point, and he says, rejoice. Let's move on to see how he's able to do that. This is chapter 4, Philippians. Now we're into verse 5. "Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." So the first step to this being able to rejoice is that taking that anxiety and giving it to God, which we've also talked about, presenting our requests to God through prayer and petition. So petition is constantly knocking on the door, God, are you listening to me? I'm petitioning you, come on. And that constant just bringing it to him. And it says, "The peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." And that's just so beautiful that he promises to give us that peace. there's another step, I think, to guarding against that anxiety, and in the end to officially being able to rejoice. And that starts in verse 8. So this is what he says. He says, finally, so he's ending his statement here with everything that he said. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think of such things. Okay. So this really goes to transforming our minds, okay, and thinking good things. So this was another one of those memory verses from when I was a teenager and I went into the mission field. If you really take the time to think about what this is saying, he is saying to think about good things, to allowing yourself to really, really guard against some of those bad thoughts that come into our minds. So he's saying this is what you need to think about, and this is how you can, kind of fight against that anxiety, and how you can really get to that point where you can rejoice. And it's by thinking about whatever's true, whatever's noble, whatever's right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, admirable, excellent, praiseworthy. Think about these things. And this is how the peace of God will, which, really truly transcends all understanding. We can't understand how in the worst moments we can be peaceful. And I think we've experienced that in various times of our lives. I know that there have been times in my life when I have just been at my wit's end, and I've been able to experience the peace of God. And part of that is taking those steps to think about good things and to really try to guard our hearts and our minds. And really, when we're able to do that, when we're able to be thankful for various things, then that is really beneficial in the step for being able to rejoice in the Lord. So my prayer for you is that you will be able to really take this in, that you will be able to think good, positive, admirable, lovely, praiseworthy things, even in the midst of these trying times. And I am thankful for you. I rejoice in the Lord that you spent some time to look in the scriptures with me. I pray that we can all take Paul's example as we're in these positions. And once again, I'm here for you if you need me. And God bless you. Thanks.